Anansi and Turtle. Once, Anansi was at home and Turtle came to call. Now, when someone calls, you have to invite them in. You have to give them a meal. But you know Anansi.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to share his food at all. He wants it all for himself. Yes, Ruby?
I think Anansi's really a burglar.
A burglar, because he steals it
Yeah.
from other people. Well, this time he had his own food, but he didn't want to share it. But he had to because Turtle had come. So he thought, how can I play a trick? So he sat Turtle down at the table, and there was all this lovely food on the table, and Turtle thought, great, I'm going to tuck in, and reached out his hand.
Dirty hand.
And then Anansi said, look at your hand. It's all dirty. Oh, poor Turtle, he walks around on his hands, doesn't he?
Yeah.
How can he keep them clean? But he said, and Anansi says, go and wash your hands, and then come and eat. So Turtle went off. And meanwhile, Anansi ate as much as he could. Well, Turtle washed his hands, came back, walking on his feet, of course, walking on his hands, sat at the table, and Anansi said, show me your hands. And Turtle looked at his hands, and once again they were all dirty. And Anansi said, you can't eat like that with dirty hands. Go and wash them. I told you to wash them last time. But go and wash them. And while he was off washing them, Anansi ate as much as he could, filling his tummy up. Well, Turtle came back again. And there was just a little bit of food left, and he reached out.
Then he put the slippers on.
And Anansi said, well, your hands are dirty still. I thought I told you to wash them. And he said, but you've eaten that. And he went, he washed them. He came back, he walked on them again, of course. And when he arrived back at the table, all the food was gone.
He had his slippers on that time.
Did he?
Yeah.
Did he have his slippers on that time?
Yeah.
Even so, all the food was gone. And he said, but Anansi. And Anansi said, sorry, you were too slow washing your hands all the time. You should just come with clean hands.
It was getting too cold.
And Turtle said goodbye. And when he got outside the door, he stopped. He thought, Anansi's tricked me. That was a trick that Anansi played on me. All that hand washing stuff. That was to stop me eating food. I know what, I'm going to play a trick on Anansi. So he went home and he thought about it. And a few days later, a letter arrived in the mailbox. Anansi opened it up and it said, Dear Mr. Anansi, please come to my house at the bottom of the river for a meal with me. And it's tonight. And Anansi put on his best jacket.
That's yours.
And he went off to the river. And he dived in the river. Splash! But what happened?
He couldn't float back down.
He couldn't sink.
Oh, I know why.
Why?
Because he ate too much food yesterday.
Maybe. He floated anyway on the top of the water.
He ate too much food,
Yes,
but
Nick?
why isn't he floating?
He is floating.
Because it's lacking food.
Okay. So he got out of the water and he did a big dive. Splash! But he came up to the surface again. So he went out of the water and he looked around and he found some stones, heavy stones. And he put the heavy stones
So you can't even hold
into his jacket pockets. And got some more heavy stones and put them in the inside pockets. And the jacket was really heavy. And then he dived in. And this time he went down to the bottom of the river where Turtle's house was. And he knocked on the door, went inside, and there was a lovely spread of beautiful fish and all sorts of lovely dishes that Ananse would like to eat. And so Ananse started to reach out for some food. But just as he did that, Turtle said, "Oh, you got your jacket on, Ananse. You can't eat your food with your jacket on."
You can.
Well, in that place, their manners are that it's bad manners to have your jacket on when you have your food.
You got your jacket on. It's my car.
In this story, it's bad manners to have your jacket on. And so Ananse took his jacket off, but as soon as he did that, he started to float up, out the window, right up to the surface of the water. And he tried to dive down again, but without his jacket and the stones, he realised that he was not going to get back down, and that Turtle had tricked him. Turtle had got his own.